To me, Ron was kind of the complete package as a man, right? I mean, he was smart, and he was funny, and he was good at everything he tried. He was a good lawyer. He was a great father. I mean, he could have done anything. And he did a lot of things, you know, as fishing in Alaska, right? I mean, you know, a young black man as a ship's engineer in that environment. I don't know, I guess describe, most of all, he's my friend. He was a friend that I think about every day.
He had an effect on a lot of people. He just had that contagious kind of personality. In fact, so today I'm wearing a tie because we bought matching ties after one of the more difficult partners meetings. So I'm wearing the regimental tie, but I'm not wearing the wild socks, because that was the other thing that he often would do, is wear these wild socks. But the firm still has Wild Sock Day in his honor. You know, we haven't had, you know, scholarship funds started after other partners, which we have for him. We haven't had fundraisers. We, you know, haven't had Ron Beard nights, you know. So it's not just me, it's the entire firm.
Even in elementary school, all I had to say is who my brother was, and people would leave me alone because he was very protective. When strangers would come up to me, it would be like, you know, grab my hand, don't talk to my sister kind of thing. Very much, he used my sister a lot. You know, he kind of fought for the underdog. There was many times he did that for either friends or kids at school that would get picked on. He was very much, you know, don't mess with girls, don't mess with someone smaller than you, don't mess with the disabled, you know, don't be a punk kind of guy. We would have these conversations on the phone, and I would usually catch him either in his office or he'd catch me, and we'd have these really good brother, sister, about life kind of conversations. And I remember him mentioning to me that he had become a deacon at Mount Zion. And he was saying, sis, you know, the more I give, the more I get. I mean, because he was rising at the law firm, he was getting accolades and awards and things like that. And it was, I wanted to tear up. Because he honestly meant it. I mean, I think he always knew God had a hand on him because he kept coming back from Alaska, never got hurt. You know, he saved his best friend in an Alaska trip. And I think all of these situations impacted him because he knew that, you know, you're not given forever to live. And that God had his hand on him the whole time. He was going back and forth to Alaska. And then when he finally kind of settled down and started doing well at Lane Powell, I think he attributed that to his faith in God as well. You know, I'm making the right moves. I'm getting married. I have a beautiful daughter that I never ever thought I would have. And on the phone, he was talking about the fact that he was giving all of this time to the church, going to the homeless shelter, and that God was rewarding him by these. I mean, he told me a couple of the checks that he got from the law firm, and it was like, woo, yeah, you know, God is blessing you. Can I get a Kleenex?
The church was very important to him. I can't tell you how religious he was, but I can tell you he was very spiritual. And he always talked about, and we both did, but by the grace of God, there goes I, especially when you're looking at homeless people and people that, and we all felt that we were blessed. Ron's passion and Ron's belief and value of human was not based on what you do and what your social status is and whether you were a lawyer or whether you were a doctor or whether you were this or that. He valued people. And it does not surprise me that a shoeshine guy would be just as important in his life as the Vice President of the United States or somebody. Status did not determine his relationship with you.
Ron was a bundle of energy. He was sweet, kind, concerned. Always asking about after people's families, how you doing, how's business, how's your wife, what's going on, what's interesting, what's new. Always really interested. And always happy to answer when you ask the same questions back, but always quickly turned it back away from himself. Ron was always one of the loudest on the sidelines, but the interesting thing was, even though you could always hear him, he was never coaching and he was never derogatory. He was always upbeat and talking about great play or great effort. And he was never cutting down an opponent. He was never telling his kid or another kid what they should be doing. And that's kind of a rarity amongst adults at youth sports who talk. There are those who are quiet, but amongst those who are loud and can be heard, it's rare that somebody is all positive.
As an aunt watching my niece, there was all these things I was looking forward to, like, her first daddy-daughter dance, and him walking her down the aisle when she got married, and watching her graduate, and watching her be successful in sports, because, he watched her play basketball, but, she never really received any of the accolades she's receiving now. She's getting awards with Crew, he's not there. She's getting awards at school, he's not there. So, your dad being there when you start having kids and a family and all those kinds of things that grandparents represent in the full life of a human being, we're gonna have to figure out a way to, support Alex, because her dad won't be there. And her dad was, was bigger than life. In that home. So he leaves a huge hole, for sure.
If you walked around the firm, a lot of us still have his little service notice on our windows, still. Yeah, it's probably dozens, not just mine. Sorry.
Ron was somebody to aspire to whatever your walk station in life, I think, because Ron was a complete package. He had it, physically, he had it mentally, he had class and grace and style, and you kind of wanted to be like Ron. Kind of wished you could be like Ron. And, so many of us can't be the complete package, so you take a piece of Ron and say, okay, this is how I'm gonna emulate Ron in this way, because I can't do it in all these other ways. And I don't want to. This is not really over the top. Ron was a stud. Ron was an example of how people should be. And again, that's what made me so proud to be a good friend of his.